Good afternoon. I now call the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for Westfield, Indiana to order. To open the meeting, could we recognize the presence of a quorum?
Chuck Lehman,
Here.
Nick Barknett,
Present.
you have a quorum.
Thank you. Now on to the approval of the minutes from the last meeting from February 26, 2025. I've reviewed them. I wasn't able to attend that meeting, but do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I attended, I reviewed, and I make a motion to approve the minutes from February 26th.
Perfect, and I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the minutes passes. Changes to agenda. We have one additional item that we'll put as number 8 on the agenda, utility reimbursement agreement for hydrant relocation west on the water main. We'll make item number 8 for the agenda today. Anything else I'm missing? Okay. Action item number 2, we have the Options Charter School and City of Westfield amended and restated termination of payment in lieu of taxes agreement.
I can talk a little bit about this. Mayor actually presented this at the last meeting, and once we sent everything off to the county, they said that Options was actually already tax exempt, and the way the document was worded would have removed that exemption, and that was not the intent of either party. So this is truly the exact same thing, removing about 3 words, saying that they will not owe the city a pilot, and we won't be requesting that the county remove any exemptions. So we work with outside counsel to basically do the exact same thing and just tweak it, and if you all pass it, I'll resend it to the county again.
So just a minor tweak from last meeting so
Yes.
that we don't grow the tax base the wrong way. Cool. All right, makes sense to me. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, I will move to approve the amendment, amended and restated termination of payment in lieu of taxes agreement. Do we have a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that passes. Action item number 3, the Najum family real estate in the city of Westfield, 207 Mill Street, a road impact fee.
Yes, so for the record, Michael Pierce, City Engineer, Public Works. This is just our standard installment agreement for road impact fees, so it splits it up rather than a one-time payment over a 5-year payment. This is allowed by state statute, so this is just our standard agreement for you to approve.
Perfect. Makes sense to me. Chuck, do you have any questions on that one?
I do not. Maybe just one not related directly to this, but is that project about ready to get underway?
Yeah, I believe they're actually currently moving dirt out on that project right now.
Good. Nope, I have nothing. I'll make a motion that we approve the Najum family real estate impact fee agreement.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Action item number 4, Clerk Dietz, on-call review services contract, Amendment 1.
Again, for the record, Michael Pierce. This is an amendment to a current on-call agreement we have with Clark Dietz. So we utilize their services for plan review. So we currently have a plan reviewer on staff that reviews all the development plans that come in to the city. However, due to the amount of plans we get from time to time, or sometimes due to the complexity of those plans, he's not able to handle all that workload, so we do supplement that out to a professional engineering service. So this is an amendment to the existing agreement we have with them to add another $40,000 onto the agreement to use on an as-needed basis.
Perfect. And how does this align with prior years? Is this?
So I think our original agreement started with them in 2022, and so this depending on the type of projects that we get in during the year or the number of projects we get, it would probably last us about a year at least.
Cool. Makes sense to me. Chuck, do you have any questions on this one?
I do not.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the Clark Dietz on-call services contract amendment. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Action item number 5, Structure Point in Westfield, inspection services contract at 181st and Wheeler roundabout.
Yep, so this one is a contract for inspection services for our 181st Street and Wheeler Road roundabout intersection project. So we selected Structure Point as our consultant for this to basically oversee all the construction on this project, as we do with several of our roundabout projects. The total for this contract is $225,960. Which is in line with what we would expect to pay for a project of this size. This project is anticipated to start when school gets out, so around the end of May, early June timeframe is the anticipated closure date for the project. So this contract would allow us to move forward with Structure Point on that project. So.
And just for a reminder for me, the construction inspection is required as a part of the NDOT funding, right? And you guys might do it in-house on a smaller project.
Correct, yeah. So some projects have NDOT funding on those. Some of them is totally locally funded. It depends on the number of projects and how we have them funded each year, how many of those projects we would do in-house versus hiring out. We have an extremely busy construction season this year, so we just don't have staff to do all of this in-house this year.
Record construction, yeah.
Correct.
Great. Chuck, do you have any questions on this one?
I do not. I can make a motion that we approve the Structure Point Services Agreement.
I will second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 6, Union Square multifamily road impact fee.
Yeah. Yes. Again, for the record, Michael Pierce. This is a road impact fee credit agreement with Union Square Development in the downtown area. So this is a credit agreement for public infrastructure improvements related to the Union Square Development in the downtown area. This agreement has been vetted by the mayor's office as well as economic development. We feel it's a fair agreement for everyone on there. So just credit agreement, and I believe it's approximately $800,000, give or take exact amount. But just ask that you approve this agreement based on this agreement. So.
Makes sense to me. Chuck, do you have any questions on this one?
No, I do not.
How do we assess the road impact fee? Remind me.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so generally, road impact fees are based on the amount of traffic that's generated by development. So we use what's called the ITE trip generation manual. So for each type of use, so fast food restaurant, doctor's office, hospital, any of those sort of uses are typically, they fit into a category in the ITE manual. That gives a trip rate based on the size of the building. And then that trip rate is then charged based on our fee per trip, which in this case, $362 is our current trip rate. So just as an example, a fast food restaurant generates quite a few more trips than a dentist's office would. So they'll pay a higher amount of road impact fees than the other use.
Cool. Makes sense. I'll move to approve this as submitted. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the motion, action item number 6 is approved. 7, a resolution by the Board of Public Works and Safety approving an intergovernmental transfer of real property interest real estate purchase agreement with Hamilton County for the Public Safety Training Facility Project.
For the record, Danielle Carey Tolan. This is a resolution. We own a piece of property over in Noblesville. It's the training center, and we've had it for over decade, yes. And so we've been using it for ourselves, and we also rent it out to other agencies to utilize the property for training, whether it's police, fire, and other government agencies. So we are now in the terms with the county to sell it to them. They're going to be doing improvements onto it, and whether it's shooting ranges, better facilities for the entire community. I'm happy to answer additional questions about the training center, and I know Sean's here as well. He's very versed on what police and fire have been going through on what that looks like on the facility.
I can just add, we treated it like a intergovernmental transfer like you've seen with the RDC, except for it's to the county, but then we also added the actual purchase agreement for review. You're basically approving it in this substantive form. If there's any minor tweaks that we find in the next few days before it's signed, it would give the mayor the authority to review those and sign off. But the substance and the actual terms of the agreement are there for approval as well.
Thank you. What are the rules governing the price that we come to? Is it just whatever Mayor Wells can talk the commissioners into paying us, or?
We did get appraisals.
Yeah, we got 2 appraisals, and the
Okay.
county got 2 appraisals.
Okay.
Technically, this kind of falls under an exception where it basically says for any price or no price, but for this, we all did get appraisals to see what would be fair as well.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll let the chief go over it during his presentation, I think. Yeah. Chuck, any questions from you on this one?
No, just not necessarily questions, just interested. I mean, that facility we've had for a long time. It's been not wrestled with, but occasionally wrestled
Yes.
with. Do we know the county's intention?
Yes, they are going to rebuild a better training facility for police and fire. And all 4 big agencies, Noblesville, Fishers, and Carmel, and ourselves will still pay into the facility for usage. They will still have outside contractors again for use, but they're going to have new fire training, new police training. So it's truly a public safety training center.
It's one of the largest in the area. I mean, nearly in the Midwest, right? I mean, it's a pretty good-sized landmass.
It's a good size, yes. Yeah.
Right, and I think at one time, we had entertained the city,
Doing it.
investing more and almost making a business out of it.
Correct. Several years ago, yeah. So now the county has bonded to do these structures, and so they're ready to take action. They've been working for a few years on the design plans for the facility and been talking with us and transferring the land to them.
How did we originally, educate me on, how did we originally get control of this property all the way over in Noblesville that we wouldn't have built it here? What's the history?
Oh, yeah, the water, yeah. Yeah, we bought for the water field underneath,
Oh, okay.
yeah. For the water rights.
Decades,
Always
right?
comes to water.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Jeremy Lawler's in the audience, and he has great history about this. 2010, that's why I keep on looking at him. Even though
Yeah,
he's not with the city
I
anymore.
think we watched training
God
wars
he's here.
there,
Yeah. So,
fires and
yeah.
things.
So obviously, when we sold our utility rights, that went with it.
So do we have any restrictions then what the city will do with the funds?
We will put it back into the general funds. We're not sure where at yet. We haven't determined that, but it will go back into the general funds and be used. But no restrictions.
And there are restrictions, and we built in a lot of legal mechanisms in there to make sure that they do use it for this purpose and that they negotiate with us to be able to use it as well. So we're definitely not just selling it to them, we're protecting our interest in our police and fire being able to use the property still.
I think that's a question that I had not, and to carry that a bit is, what are we talking about money-wise roughly? I mean, is this $1, 10 million, what is it?
Just over a couple million.
Gotcha. So is it possible, since this is something that we've used for public safety, could those funds be used for public safety in the future?
Yes, yeah, we just as internal have not decided.
Got it. Okay. Sounds good.
Perfect. Do we have a motion to approve?
I will. I'll happily make a motion to approve the Resolution 25-115, Training Center property sale.
And I will second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 8, utility reimbursement agreement for the hydrant relocation west on the water main.
Yeah, for the record again, Michael Pierce, apologize for the late add on this item, but felt it was necessary given the construction schedule of this project. This item is a reimbursement agreement with Citizens for a hydrant relocation in conjunction with our 181st and Wheeler Roundabout project. That water main is in easement, so by law, any relocation within there would be reimbursable to the utility. So this is just to relocate a hydrant out of conflict with our project. Agreements for $51,700, which is probably a little bit higher than it'll actually cost. We get charged based on the actual cost of construction, which we anticipate to be a little bit lower than that. But for the purposes of the agreement, $51,700 is the estimate. So we just ask that you approve that so we can get them out of the way well before our project starts.
So we're just approving the preliminary estimate, and then we'll actually pay whatever. the
Correct.
actuals are.
We'll actually pay based on an invoice they submit after the project's done.
Cool. Makes sense. Any questions, Chuck? All right, I will make a motion to approve number 8, utility reimbursement agreement with Citizens. Do we have a second?
Second?
Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Onto the consent agenda for the March bond list. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
And I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda is approved. On to department reports. Westfield Fire.
Report for the February monthly report. Just not going to bore you with a bunch of that. You can go over just a few highlights on this. The first highlight would really be on the third page, going over the run load from February of 2025 compared to 2024. You can see a 9% increase based on the previous year, the same time frame. So we're getting busier with growth, and that's to be expected. So we're getting busier, and it goes along with our need for stations and personnel coming aboard. So there's a little bit of a decrease with Station 82, and that area is kind of decreased with us bringing in the old public safety building, the police department currently, we've taken the firehouse portion of that and put Ladder 84 in service in that station to run as a temporary Station 4 until the new station is done. So that's taken a little bit of the load off of that, so just reconfigure things a little bit as far as the run load goes. So one of the highlights, another highlight on back to what would be page 7 and 8, incident statistics, EMS and fire. Not too long ago, you would see on this page the mutual aid, where we receive aid from other departments is in the orange on this, and where we give aid is in the blue. So both the EMS and fire, not too very long ago, it would be flip-flopped, where we were receiving more than we were giving. And with where we're at currently, and we're able to kind of turn about now, where we're not receiving aid nearly as much as what we used to. So we used to see a lot more of that, where we were receiving, or where we were receiving more on the orange lines. They would have been somewhat the tables turned, I guess. So just a sign of where we're at and what's been allowed for the growth. And put a third ambulance in service a little over a year ago has contributed to that quite a bit. And our addition of the second ladder truck recently. So those contributions have brought us closer to where we need to be with the growth and everything going on. With that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Any questions from you, Chuck?
Not necessarily a question, but the Carmel number is interesting. I mean, I think Noblesville's reasonable, and we're certainly helping Sheridan, but
Sure,
it's interesting that we're helping Carmel that much.
It is. Everybody's getting busier, including them.
Yep.
They're looking at ways that now that, they've got to straighten things out, kind of where we've been in the past.
Sure.
They've, on the EMS side, they recently adding an additional ambulance in their territory, which would give them, I believe, 5 in their district, so that's gonna help but right along 146th Street, the population growth grows further and further west. There's a lot of area there. And it's not necessarily, it's in their district, so they're taking their run. The way the dispatch 911 set up, when somebody calls, dispatch will prompt, 911 CAD system will prompt the closest apparatus. So it might be an engine from our station, their apparatus or whatever. So the CAD will say, we need 3 fire engines, 2 ladders for this fire. It will call, whether it's us or them, it's on their side of the line. It may call for, 2 of our engines to go based on where it's at and their proximity. They may be out on other runs. We may take their run for them. And likewise, they would do the same for us. So, next year it may be a little flipped or whatever. But this month, next month it may be flipped, but for this month it was a little more on the end where we are assisting them than when they're assisting us. But it is mutual. They assist us tremendously. When someone calls, they don't care whose name's on the shirt or on the side of the truck, what color trucks are or whatever. They just want help. So those boundary lines, there is a boundary line, whether it's Carmel or Noblesville, wherever, it's taking care of the people as we should.
Makes sense. Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Thank you so much.
Good job.
Westfield Police. Chief Keen.
Members of the board, Sean Keene, Chief, Westfield Police Department. I think I'll do the same, just kind of hit the high points, because I think answer your questions about the training facility, and I want to update you on our new merit board and kind of where we're at with that. So, starting with the report, we look at first our calls for service, the first 2, 3, 4 pages. We see in February we had a total of just over 3,100 calls for service, which isn't unusual. We go further on. Of those calls, I mean, a majority are what we typically see each month, which is traffic stops, security checks, or directed patrols. Not unusual. Again, similar to any other month you look at. If we go to the next page, sorry. Okay, so our uniform crime reporting offenses are those that are defined by the FBI, as I'm sure you're aware. If we look at a year ago in February, we had the exact same number of offenses that we had this year in February. The only significant difference, if you could call it that at all, is we had what they define as violent crimes, which are aggravated batteries, robbery, rape, homicide, in the month of February. Outside of that, you can see February 2024 versus 25, our numbers don't change much. They fluctuate just slightly between thefts and our simple batteries. So nothing of significance there. If we continue on, let's go here. We'll look at our arrests are up from where they were February of 2024. We had 76 arrests this month versus 52 a year ago. Again, those things fluctuate with, that could be a traffic stop where you arrest 2 or 3 people. That's not a significant change in numbers, but they are up some. If we look at the number of accident reports, you see at the bottom there, we are down on accident reports for the month of February. We had 69 in February 2024 versus 55 this February. So less accidents is always a good thing, but if we go to the next page, you see these, as I do these each month, you see, you're probably going to see the same intersections most month. I mean, that's just typical. 31 and 32 are our biggest. We try to focus on those as far as traffic enforcement. So, is there any other questions you have about the report? I know it's a lot of numbers we give them to you every day. There's nothing significant as far as fluctuations in numbers for this month, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have about this before I go on to
Nothing
training center.
specific on the report from me. What about you, Chuck?
I'm fine.
No, I'm looking forward to learning more about the merit board and the training facilities, yeah.
Okay. I can go ahead and start with the training facility and give you a little bit more in depth. This is one of the first projects I was introduced when I started here about a year ago. I met with the other chiefs. It was presented to us. It was already somewhat in the making at that point. I know it had been talked about based on those conversations for quite some time. This project, at the last council meeting I attended, county council rather, it had an estimated cost or bonding of about $30 million. And as you said, this is a huge facility, one of the largest in the Midwest, once they get it all done. What it means for us specifically on the policing side is we're finally going to get a firing range, which is something we have a great need for. Right now, we're using the Tipton range, and we're kind of squeezing in whenever that we have openings to complete our training. And that does make it challenging, especially as we're trying to give officers more practice time on the range. So what this will do with this, at least the design of it, which was presented to us, it'll have 7 firing ranges. 6 of those will be for handgun. 4 of those will be assigned to each of the larger cities. So Carmel, Fishers, Westfield, Noblesville will each have our own range. The Sheriff's Department will have their own range, handgun, and then the 6th range is to be shared among the smaller communities, Sheridan and such. The 7th range is a rifle range, so it goes out to 200 yards. So that is the 7 ranges I talked about. That's how they'll be broken up, so we won't have to worry so much about trying to schedule and, share time on the range. It's going to be a huge benefit to us, from that aspect. The other elements of the facility, there's going to be, and I can't speak to all the portions for the fire, but I think there's a new burn tower there and some other classroom spaces for them. There's also going to be a separate building for us where we'll be able to do scenario-based training, mat space to do defensive tactics, and some simunition space where we're going to be able to really recreate scenarios and task officers inside, even when weather's bad outside. So it's going to be a huge benefit to all the agencies in Hamilton County as far as training. It's really going to allow us to do a lot more than we've been able to do with the limited space we've had so far. So we're really excited about it. The last conversation I had, they hope to break ground sometime this summer. And I think it was going to be around 18 months. So we're probably looking at the end of next year before the whole facility's done. But I was told that maybe the ranges might be done a little earlier. I don't know if we'll have access to those with the construction. But that was the last update I got, on the facility. If there's any other questions I can answer, I'm happy to do so. I just want you to know that we're really excited about having that type of facility in this area.
That's great news, yeah.
That is great.
Okay. So as far as our merit board, tomorrow will be our first official posted meeting. We've had some initial discussions on how with legal and how they need to kind of do some things. And so what we hope to accomplish, what we were statutorily required to accomplish as the merit board was this first 30 days, they have to set up their operational rules. So, when are the regular meetings going to take place? When are they going to elect the officers to the board? So those things will have to be accomplished tomorrow's meeting. And then the next 60 days after that, then that's when the rules will get developed on hiring, promotions, the disciplinary appeals. And with that, I reached out to some of the officers in the department. So we have about an 8-member board of officers throughout the department who are going to come in and work with the merit board and give them their input on what they feel in the past, the promotions, the hiring, how those processes have worked, things they like, things they didn't like. And so the merit board will at least get to hear from the officers on their viewpoints on those things as they craft those rules. So with that, then we've got April, May, by the end of May, start of June, then they should be in a position with those rules that we can move forward with starting a hiring list and then the promotional process. So excited about that. There will be one thing for this board to do. I think one of the things is a per diem rate for the merit commissioners. I know the mayor's talked about both police and the fire merit boards, both having a per diem rate set. The statute requires the Board of Works, once they make the recommendation, then the council shall establish that. So that may be something that should be an action item for next meeting. But just know that that's something that the mayor has shown an interest that we move forward with.
Is this establishing a first-time per diem rate, or is it changing to inflation?
It's the first time, because it's my understanding the fire merit board has never had it either,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
So how is the per diem reimbursed? Oh, it's per diem for the merit board members.
Yes, for actual days of service.
I was like, how's the police department not getting, doesn't have a per diem right now?
This merit board, yes, commissioners. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the merit board or any other thing regarding the police department.
No, this is great. Thank you for all that. The training facility sounds great. I'm glad we're investing in it, and we're able to help with the county on it. No questions for me. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
One tidbit, a few years back, there was a a pretty significant piece of equipment, a big tactical unit that was around. I don't remember where we got it, maybe from the federal, but it was a huge piece of equipment. Is that still around by chance? Does anybody know? You remember that,
You're talking
Jeremy
about
or
the
anybody?
Bearcat or something that they got through the
I don't know, it was a
the
huge
federal
piece of
government.
equipment that, you.
An
when
MRAP?
they're- Yeah,
So the
like you
last
drive,
agency.
it drives up to the,
Yes. So that was through, at least my understanding, in Terre Haute, we used to have one of those years ago under the previous chief. We got it through the federal government. I returned that as well as some other things because the requirements to operate those, the last president changed those rules, and in doing so, made it almost impossible to use that type of equipment except for very specific things. So the Westfield Police Department does not have that piece of equipment, so I don't know if there's another agency in the area that still has that, but
Got
I
it.
do know that they've been made more difficult.
we had it for a while. It was pretty cool. I mean, there was a, disaster event that showed up, and it was a tactical, base.
I'm sure it was an MRAP, it would be my guess.
Yeah,
And
it was
currently,
cool.
we use a Bearcat that we share, with Noblesville possesses, but our shared SWAT team uses,
Yeah,
so.
I assumed eventually it'd either be outdated or go away.
Yeah.
I was hoping I could buy it.
Oh, it was awesome. Great,
Yes.
great toy.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Chief.
Thank you.
Back to my agenda. I think that might be it. Oh, Public Works.
Yep. So from a Public Works perspective, Street Department, now that hopefully, knock on wood, winter is over with, they've been working diligently on filling potholes and doing some patching on some things. This winter was particularly rough on the infrastructure from a roadway standpoint, so they've been working on tying that up. So from an engineering standpoint and capital projects, State Road 32, as you might have heard, closure is looking like on or after April 7th. So that'll be a full closure of State Road 32 between Poplar and Union, inclusive of the intersection at Union. So
That'll make a lot of people happy.
that will make very many people happy. Yep. So detours will be in place with that. We just ask again that people are patient during this time. Again, record infrastructure investment over the summer will lead to a lot of detours. So along with that, 151st in Town is scheduled to close in early April for a roundabout project there. 161st in Spring Mill, again, is probably late April, early May closure for that one as well. And then our concrete patching, again, will start in early April. So those are kind of the first few capital projects that you'll see kicking off this summer, with several others to follow, but those are kind of the immediate ones that you'll see. So happy to answer any other questions.
How do we roll out? I've seen a couple of the press releases and social media that y'all have done rolling out the traffic routes for the construction and everything. Is there, I'm ignorant to it, is there any communication and coordination with Waze and Google Maps and all that, alternate routes for people that?
I can't speak directly to the actual apps themselves. I know our communication department works with a lot of different entities to try to get as much as we can out there to the public, at least a few weeks in advance of each of the closures, to make sure that they know where those detours are posted and things like that.
Cool.
Town and Spring Mill simultaneous? Some overlap?
Correct. There will be. So a lot of that traffic will be shifted to Ditch Road as a detour through there. So, but those are kind of critical to get done in the timeframes that they're established in, because other projects are dependent upon those going as well. So there will be a lot of traffic shifted to Ditch during that time.
Will the ditch roundabout be at the same time too?
That will be after Spring Mill's completed, because that's part of the detours.
Cool.
So 90 days roughly?
So most of the closures are approximately 60 to 90 days, correct? Depends on which intersection we're talking about, but generally, yes.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else you need from us? All right. Anything else we forgot on the agenda? All right.
I think we're done.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.